exactly the kind of flavor of love that it will take to make us feel satisfied. And nobody else can know that. Nobody else can understand that. I mean, I've been married. I know what this is like. You know, you're with somebody and you're like trying to get them to give you a certain flavor of love, a certain kind of emotion, and like they just can't do it, or they can't understand it, or you can't communicate it, or somehow or other, it's just not happening. And so after a while you just, all right, I'll just take whatever I can get, you know. But that's not going to be satisfying, because everybody has a unique, special taste for a particular kind of love and affection. And only Krishna can understand that, because only Krishna can understand the hearts of every living entity. So when we take that loving propensity, and instead of engaging it in the material world, we engage it in Krishna's service, then we reach the perfection. Then we attain real satisfaction. And then we don't have to go running after this material stuff.
Question from Luciano. Please accept my humble obeisances, Babaji.
Oh, he's learning now.
He's asking
He
if
used to just ask the question now.
Sorry?
He used to just ask the question, now he offers obeisance.
Yes. Somehow or other. If we cannot see the consciousness of others, how is it that we can perceive the spiritual advancement in others?
Indirectly, through their symptoms. And also Krishna tells. See, when you're a guru, or any kind of leader, even a king, or president of a company, or something like that, you have to take a certain percentage of the karma generated by the people that are under your instruction. Typically, it's in the Vedas, it's described as 20 to 25%. So when you're a spiritual master, you know what the activities of your students are. You don't even have to watch. You don't even have to be physically present. You know, because you can feel it in your karma. I mean, to become self-realized, you have to go through all your karma and engage all of it, connect all of it with Krishna. So you know what your karma is. And then if you feel this influence, this energy coming from someplace else, well, it has to be coming from your students. So the spiritual master is in a unique position to know this mental state, or the spiritual state, rather, of the students, because he's getting the reactions, he's getting the karma, a certain percentage of the karma from the students. You know, like when we started the chanting Vishnu Sahasranam regularly, I felt so much better immediately. You know, before I had had some health problems on and off for kind of a long time. But then as soon as we started chanting Vishnu Sahasranam, these immediately cleared up. Why? Because the devotees were cleaning up their consciousness more quickly, with a more powerful process. They were doing the Narayan Kavacha and Vishnu Sahasranam every day. And because of this, I noticed immediate improvement in my health. So I can always tell, you know, by how my body, how my mind is affected. Because if it was just me, there wouldn't be any problems, or there wouldn't be, you know, I would know exactly, because it's my karma, what I had gone through and everything like that. So that's one way to tell. Another way to tell is by the external symptoms. You know, if we see that someone is very steady, very enthusiastic, patient, accomplished, you know, they're expert in their service, they know the philosophy, their practice is very steady, they're not complaining, they're not uncertain, their doubts are very, very minimal, you know, if any at all. We know they're in good consciousness, because those are the symptoms of that consciousness. And similarly, if someone is doubting, hesitating, wavering, unsteady, and so on like that, then we can see, these are the symptoms that their consciousness is not so developed, not so advanced. So just like a doctor, even though, the doctor cannot feel what the patient is feeling, but the doctor can diagnose the condition by looking at the symptoms. And that because that knowledge is external, it's not always 100% correct. But even if it's only 80 or 90% correct, that's pretty good. So we also can use the symptoms to understand the consciousness. Mm-hmm.
Question from Navayovana. Please accept my humble obeisances, Babaji. I am trying to understand and remove some faults and weaknesses by attempting some sort of self-analysis. It's tiring and sometimes confusing and seems like just another mental trap. How important is that retroactive analysis as opposed to looking forward and just trying to engage in devotional service and trusting that to clean my heart?
Well, lie down here and tell me about your mother. That's a joke.
Okay.
Anyway, you can't advance in devotional service unless you go back and analyze your faults. In the beginning, especially, everyone experiences unsteadiness in devotional service. Different kinds of fall downs, different kinds of offenses, different kinds of ignorance, uncertainty, and so on. So how are we going to cure these problems unless we take a good look at them, take them apart, see what makes them tick? Why are we doing these things? Why are we engaging in these kinds of thoughts and actions? How are we going to overcome the bad habit unless we can trace it back to its source? Especially with, I happen to know the kind of thing you're dealing with because you wrote me all the details. These kind of things, that generally fall under the heading of hridaya daurbalya. We talked about this anartha, weakness of heart. Weakness of heart means I don't have the determination to simply surrender. I have some consideration, I have some attachment, I have some weakness that causes me to not be able to follow Krishna's direction. I have some, and this may manifest as doubts, it may manifest as hesitation, it may manifest as less than full enthusiasm for the process of devotional service. It may manifest as, different kinds of attachment to subtle enjoyment. I mean, there's all kinds of things, symptoms that can develop. But the primary cause is a weakness of heart. The weakness of heart means I'm here in the material world and I see that most of the living entities are engaged in material consciousness, material affairs, and I don't have the strength to go against that. See, I cannot stand up and say, no, I'm going to follow Krishna, even though maybe only 1 in 10,000 people or 1 in 100,000 people is actually following Krishna. See, this takes a certain amount of intestinal fortitude, a certain amount of not caring about what other people think of us. I'll never forget, the first time I put a dhoti on and went out on kirtan, or went to a Sunday feast at the park, I think it was. First time when I was living in the temple, I had just shaved my head, and was feeling the breeze up there, and they showed me how to put on a dhoti, and I put on tilak, and we went down to the. I was like, oh, I felt all awkward, like, is this me, and now it's like I feel funny if I'm not wearing tilak and dhoti and like that, And I feel very, very much at ease in that way. In fact, I feel funny, you know, if I put on pants and all that stuff, you know, I feel really weird, like, what's this? Yeah. Similarly, when we first come into devotional service, there's going to be certain aspects of our false ego that feel to us, we're so habituated to these anarthas, that if we try to even confront them, we feel very, very weird. Like, well, wait a minute, you know, how can I live without this? How can I live without doubting? How can I live without hesitation? How can I live without, you know, suspicion or anxiety or worry? Or, I mean, there's so many things that we become habituated to. But these are simply our